So not that anyone necessarily cares, but Jimmy Kimmel's show has been indefinitely suspended. It's also been removed from 23 different stations, and all of this stemming from some statements he made surrounding Charlie Kirk. I'm going to play the clip for you in which he makes these statements, and then I'm going to share my opinion about, is this the right thing that should be happening to him, or should they have done something different? Check it out.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
Now, after this clip aired, Nexstar pulled Jimmy Kimmel from 23 different stations, and ABC Disney suspended the show indefinitely. Now, don't think that Disney did this out of the kindness of their heart, or they're somehow becoming conservative or realizing how disgusting some of the things this man says are. They were sort of pressured into it. Brendan Carr, who is the FCC chair, messaged that it looks like ABC and Disney might be liable because of some of the false statements that Jimmy Kimmel is maliciously making. So with the combined pressure of many people calling in for the show to be stopped, and the FCC chair also messaging about pressure, this is what made Disney fold. So I want to talk about multiple issues with Jimmy Kimmel's statement, because there's a lot out there, and there's even on the conservative side, there's individuals saying that this is free speech, it should be able to happen, Jimmy Kimmel should have no consequences. And then there's others on the conservative side who are basically calling for everything to be shut down. Jimmy Kimmel does not have the free speech to say what he did. And I just want to give you my thoughts and opinions on what's happening here and why it happened like this. Number one, it is important to highlight that Jimmy Kimmel outright lies about the shooter. With the preponderance of evidence, everything that is out there, disregarding all of it, Jimmy Kimmel decided to say that this shooter was a part of the MAGA movement, that he was actually one in the same with this movement, and he was a part of the political right. This is a lie and possibly even malicious on Jimmy Kimmel's end, trying to spread intentionally falsehoods. Now, millions of people are still distraught over the events that happened with Charlie Kirk, and his family and friends are going to be dealing with this for years, if not their entire lifetimes. And Jimmy Kimmel making this statement, a false statement, verifiably false, most likely very malicious on his end, only a week after the event. This has become a problem for him, and ABC Disney realized it. This is not speech that's protected under the First Amendment. You cannot make maliciously false statements about somebody, especially when it's going to harm an individual. Imagine if your family member had died in such a horrific way as happened with Charlie Kirk, and obviously the wounds are there, they're real, and for many others. And then a TV station, through one of their members, their staff members, in this case Jimmy Kimmel, but just imagine someone else, decides to spread verifiably false information about the person who killed your family member. And that information was that this person who killed your own family member was actually one in the same with you. Essentially, they were a part of the same group, the same political side, the same MAGA movement. And you had to now listen to this, and not only listen to it, but have that lie spread across America for other liberal lefties to believe, other news media organizations to pick up on. This is not protected free speech. You cannot make these statements. The only thing that Jimmy Kimmel could try to hide behind is that he did not know that this was a lie. He thought it was true. He thought it was real. But I would have a hard time actually believing that. Jimmy Kimmel and his entire staff, nobody picked up on any of the recent news that's coming out that clearly establishes that this shooter is a far left liberal, that he's been indoctrinated by far left ideas. He is in a partnership with an individual who's trans. He's outright stated that he believes that Charlie Kirk is spreading hate and MAGA is spreading lies. And there are images of him mocking Donald Trump. It is beyond clear that this man is not associated with the right or conservatism or the MAGA movement, but Jimmy Kimmel decided to spread these lies anyway. He also used this as an opportunity to say that the President of the United States is not grieving correctly over this. Now, keep in mind, Jimmy Kimmel cares nothing for Charlie Kirk. Zero. President Donald Trump has a real or had a real relationship with Charlie Kirk. I'm not saying that they were the best of friends or anything like that, but they talked with each other. They were near each other. You know, there's many videos where they were interacting. So President Donald Trump knew Charlie Kirk, and now Jimmy Kimmel, a man who probably can't stand him or his movement, is telling Donald Trump that he is not grieving correctly. Only a week after this event has taken place. Now, keep this in mind. President Donald Trump has been asked incessantly about his thoughts on Charlie Kirk over and over and over again from multiple media sources and journalists. And he's responded as appropriately and kindly as he can. And you have to understand this, after being approached so many times about such a terrible and sensitive situation, honestly, sometimes the best way to deal with it and to grieve is to try to stop focusing on it. I know for me and my family, I don't know if you've noticed this, but on your social media, you probably saw that Charlie Kirk's videos are popping up a lot more often now. And a lot of individuals who sharing their thoughts about what happened with Charlie Kirk. And I've even had to express this with my own close family, is that sometimes the best thing to do is just flip past that or to shut it off. Not because I don't want to see Charlie Kirk's videos. I do. I love what he has to say, and I enjoy seeing his thought process on things. But the reality is sometimes I don't want to keep being reminded about it. I don't want it to keep being on the forefront of my mind. I just want to move past it and try to focus on something a little bit different. And President Donald Trump is a human being. He's going to be the same way. So he's incessantly asked about this sensitive topic, and he immediately just tries to change the subject. That is very normal. Now, he does it the way that Donald Trump does it. Maybe not the way that I would do it or the way that you would do it, but he did it the way that he does it. And he started talking about the ballroom. He was like, okay, listen, let's focus on this over here. And Jimmy Kimmel has the audacity to tell him that's not the correct way to grieve. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. Now, this kind of speech from Jimmy Kimmel is protected under his First Amendment rights. No matter how distasteful, awful, or hateful his statements are, he can share his opinion about whether or not he thinks Donald Trump is grieving correctly. But although he's not violating the First Amendment rights in any way, this could be an issue by violating the policies of those who employ Jimmy Kimmel. Perhaps they don't want to be associated with somebody who's making statements like this only a week after one of the most horrific assassinations that we've seen in our generation, perhaps ever. Even the assassinations of the past weren't so immediate and so real and so readily available for everyone to see and to process. Yet this man decides to make these statements about the President of the United States so quickly. It's likely that ABC and Disney and Nexstar want nothing to do with somebody making malicious statements like that, even though it's just his opinion. So Kimmel has two problems here. First off, his false statement is false, verifiably, it's malicious, and it harms people when it spreads that false information. This is a problem, and he may in fact be taken off the air, possibly permanently for this. We'll see how he reacts to it and if he listens to what his employers are telling him to do. I'll tell you what they've told him to do here in just a second. But his second issue is that his employers may not even want him on the air anymore because of the statements he's making. Even though some of them are protected under the First Amendment, they simply don't want to be associated with it. And ABC, Disney, although they are no angels, of course, they do care about their bottom dollar. And Jimmy Kimmel is expendable to them. Matter of fact, Donald Trump came out today and he said he believes they're doing this because because Jimmy Kimmel's ratings are not good. And this may also be the case as well. This could just be their opportunity to try to move past Jimmy Kimmel and maybe towards something else. So Sinclair Broadcasting is making some demands of Jimmy Kimmel in order to even think about reinstating his program. And this is what they said. They want Jimmy Kimmel to issue a public apology on the show for everyone to see. They want Jimmy Kimmel to make a sizable donation to Charlie Kirk's family and to Turning Point USA. And they're also going to now be airing a remembrance special for Charlie Kirk during that time slot on the Friday show. We rarely see things like this happening to individuals who are on the liberal left. Almost always, they can share complete falsehoods, malicious statements, opinions that are vile and disgusting. And no one cares. They're never taken off the air. They're never suspended. Advertisers never stop advertising on their program. Conservatives could say one little thing that they don't like, they don't agree with politically, not even a falsehood, not even a bad statement. And all of a sudden, their advertisers are removed. People boycott their shows. But this happening to Jimmy Kimmel now is kind of interesting. I'm not sure exactly what it says. I don't get my hopes up high that it really means much of anything at all. I think this is all just money driven. And I think that they don't really care that much about Jimmy Kimmel. To them, he's just a pawn in a show that really isn't as profitable as other things are to them. So when he made these statements, it was clear for them, especially when the FCC chair said, hey, we're going to possibly pursue this. They're like, yeah, Jimmy Kimmel is not worth it. He's not worth our time to defend what nonsense he's saying. What do you all think about this? Do you think his stuff is protected under the First Amendment? I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and leave your comment below.